out for them, my book details how to work best with and get the best work out of creative people. And if you're an art director or a designer, there are lessons in here that you can use with your own designers or to try and teach your clients. And this is a sampling of the logos and identities we've done at my company over the past 25 years, in addition to many title sequences for television, books, websites, posters, etc. Decide who will decide. Before the designer is hired, choose the person, or two people at most, who will ultimately call the shots on the project, and make sure the design firm knows who they are. This is why it's so important. Vision is not a group activity. Like these guys. When you incorporate groupthink into the creative process, it's especially egregious. Many of the decisions are subjective, everyone has an opinion, and they all may be valid opinions, but the compromises that people make in a group always interferes with the possibility of greatness. And when one or two people have the power, they're immediately more invested, and they'll take their role much more seriously than someone who has 1/10 of the power. They know that their opinion is like, they might as well just say everything they think all the time because it's only 1/10 of it. Everyone should give feedback, but only one or two people should be the final arbiters. Before a designer begins, a clear understanding of the primary objectives is crucial. They should start by making a list of what they want to achieve or accomplish. More than likely, it will be a long list. Then, they should choose the most important one and prioritize the others in order. And everyone always asks how long the list should be. If you have more than 3 priorities, you don't have any. Okay. White space is a design term that implies negative space, or space where there's no design element. It can work on a purely aesthetic level, but it also serves to tell the viewer what the hierarchy is. And it can help make any piece more inviting. If something is chock full of color, imagery, and or type, it can be difficult to look at, let alone read, let alone understand, or remember because it's so packed. Think of it this way. If someone throws 10 tennis balls at you, you won't catch any. If they throw 1, you might catch it. And while I'm on this white space thing, there's a few other design misconceptions that can regularly trip up clients and hurt collaborations. Your logo doesn't have to be big to be seen. Red is not the only color that stands out. Colors communicate emotions, and the way they appear depends on what's around them. We can't just sharpen low-res images in Photoshop. Does anyone here know what garanimals are? Excellent. My publisher said nobody's going to know. So, designers often present more than one idea. Each one of them has been considered in its entirety, but sometimes clients see the various options as comprised of mix and match pieces instead of the coherent design that each one is. So garanimals were kids' clothing in the 70s, where you simply match any elephant tag pants with any elephant tag shirt and you have an outfit. It doesn't work with design ideas. When clients want us to take a part of design number 1 that they like and combine it with a piece of design number 2, it never works. And it's dismissive of the thinking behind each idea. Imagine using ingredients from 2 different recipes because you like each in a different dish. Doesn't make any sense. So instead, tell us what you like about 1 and what you like about 2, and what you don't like about each of them, and we'll go back and figure out how to incorporate your comments into a new solution that's cohesive. Clients sometimes think that if they love something right away, it was all too easy. Are they getting their money's worth? In a standard project with 2 rounds of revisions, even the best client may be hesitant to admit that we nailed it on the first try. But instead, they should thank you and help them think of immediate success as a reflection of how well they briefed you and how well we connected with their needs as they expressed them to us. This is a cause to celebrate and move on to the next problem. Nothing takes a second. We aren't sure if clients really think it will be as easy as flicking a switch or if they're just trying to downplay the extra work, but officially, nothing takes a second. At its best, saying this is dismissive of our time, and at its worst, it's dismissive of the value of our work and what we do. The changes will take time because everything takes time. Knowing that and respecting that will make a huge difference. Give all the feedback at once. So, while we're on the issue of time, the client should take all the time they need to review the work and consider the feedback. It won't help anyone to rush past issues that will have to be dealt with later. If it means we have to wait a few more days for the feedback, that's fine. Problems arise when we get a new email with a new thought every day or every hour. First of all, the more emails we get, the greater chance something will fall through the cracks. But more important is that while we're working, trying to incorporate the first batch of feedback, new things coming in will likely affect what we're already doing. So we 2 steps forward, 1 step back. The better way to go is create one set of solid, definitive notes, and then make a list called Just Wondering, with random thoughts, all of them, the things you aren't sure of, but we're thinking about. Now that we've all the information at once, we can intelligently consider and incorporate, or not, the ideas. We don't care what your spouse thinks. The call usually goes like this. I showed my husband, wife, partner, son, daughter, second cousin last night, and he, she, they know more about this stuff than I do. And they thought we should go in a different direction. While we're sure they're wonderful people and have excellent taste, and maybe do know more than the client does, what is shown to them is their first interaction with the project. They haven't read the brief, they haven't heard the discussions, they haven't been in the meetings, so hearing from them now is a little frustrating. Everyone comes up with new thoughts during the process. If the relative has a great idea, and the client thinks it's a great idea, that's great. But the idea that dinner table or pillow talk can casually undo our hard work with limited information is maddening, and it will completely undo the trust between us. Here's the way to handle it. Own it. Don't bring up the relative. Just explain this new thought in light of the brief and all the previous conversations. Because the alternative is that your second cousin or 12-year-old daughter should come to all the meetings going forward because we have a new de facto client. Focus groups suck. Okay, so as I mentioned, great work is never done by committee or by consensus. Great work is achieved by someone with a vision or an original idea and the leadership skills necessary to convince others to take that creative journey with them. They have the support of the team above them, and they have the trust and belief in them underneath them to work on the project. The group settings often lead people to mistake criticism for intelligence. A guy who says, "Hey, that's cool," may not seem as smart as those with something negative or critical to say. Even absurd insights like, "That shade of red is weird." And while many people understand this, it's really hard to ignore negative feedback. It's an act of bravery to continue to like that weird shade of red after the group has decided it's a weird shade of red. Or for someone to stand up and say, "How can a shade of red be weird?" Sometimes the subtlety of language can make a huge difference. Don't say, "Make it yellow." Do say, "I wish it felt sunnier." There are tons of ways to make it sunnier, and we get to explore all of them. If you just tell us to make it yellow, you literally shut our brains down. Here's a list of words that should be part of a client's vocabulary, or really anybody when dealing with anybody. Please. Thank you. Good job. Wow. Drinks? Finally, if you've had a client or a designer that you think can benefit from some of the information in my book, you can have it sent to them anonymously.